Hello and good morning, and welcome to an informational webinar about our exciting new program, the Big Jump Project. For the next hour, we'll walk through detailed explanations of what the Big Jump Project hopes to achieve, what participating communities can expect, and the ways in which local funding partners can help communities across the U.S. achieve success. We will leave time at the end to respond to any questions you might think of during the course of the webinar. By ways of introduction, I'm Kyle Wagenschutz, Director of Local Innovation at People for Bikes. Prior to joining People for Bikes this past spring, I served as the Bicycle and Pedestrian Program Manager for the City of Memphis for the last 6 years. During my time there, we constructed more than 200 miles of new bike lanes and trails. And through a partnership between the City of Memphis and People for Bikes, Memphis became one of the first cities in the American South to develop and construct protected bike lanes. Today, I'm joined by Martha Roskowski, our Vice President of Local Innovation, and Ashley O'Sullivan, our Marketing Manager. To keep the lines of communication clear during the presentation, we've muted all the phone lines except for ours. Once the presentation is complete, we will allow time for questions to be asked. If you wish to ask a question, please press the Raise My Hand button on your control panel as shown on the screen. This will allow us to identify you, unmute your phone line, and allow you to speak to the group while asking your question. We want to be respectful of your time, and we'll be concluding the webinar after an hour. If any questions go unanswered or new questions are developed, contact information will be provided on the last slide of this presentation for future follow-up. Today's webinar will be recorded, and the recording as well as printable versions of the presentation will be available by tomorrow afternoon on the Big Jump Project website. People for Bikes is a national bicycle advocacy organization which includes both an industry coalition of bicycling suppliers and retailers, as well as a charitable foundation. Our foundation is where we house major programs like the Big Jump Project and engage individual members, affiliate organizations, and corporate sponsors. Over the years, we've spent more than $30 million to make bicycling better throughout the United States. Our direct investment of more than $2 million into community bicycling projects has leveraged more than $600 million in federal, state, and private funding. And our contributions have supported other national groups and programs, like the Safe Routes to Schools National Partnership, the League of American Bicyclists, and the International Mountain Bicycling Association. The Big Jump Project builds on the success of another recent People for Bikes program called the Green Lane Project. The Green Lane Project worked in 12 cities over the last 4 years with the goal of expediting the adoption, design, and implementation of protected bike lanes in U.S. cities. Through a successful mix of design workshops, coordinated research, study tours, peer exchanges, leadership development, national media exposure, and effective storytelling, the Green Lane Project was able to expedite the acceptance of protected bike lanes and make them a part of the toolbox for creating effective bike infrastructure. It also helped to encourage national transportation agencies to develop standardized uses for protected bike lanes. And we've watched as the miles of protected bike lanes have doubled every 2 years since 2009. Using a unique mix of leadership development, smart outreach, effective communication, and immersive learning experiences developed during the Green Lane Project, the Big Jump is the next evolution in expediting the frequency by which people in the U.S. can comfortably and safely ride a bicycle. The Big Jump recognizes that cities are doing many of the things required to create a vibrant place to ride a bicycle. They're constructing off-street pathways and slow residential zones for riding bikes. They're utilizing protected bike lane designs in busy commercial corridors. They're building community support in diverse neighborhoods, and they're encouraging their neighbors and coworkers to get out on bikes. The Big Jump is about bringing together all of these efforts, connecting the dots between smart outreach and safe infrastructure development, while documenting and measuring their results. The Big Jump Project will focus its efforts in 10 places, single neighborhoods or districts, by providing an environment of mutual support and shared learning to prove a concept that if a community completes a network of convenient and comfortable places to ride and encourages people to use it, bike use will double or triple over a 3-year period. As a result, we'll see other benefits, including a reduction in serious crashes for all modes of travel, improvements in the perceptions of bicycling and bicycling safety by both those who ride and those who don't, greater access and connectivity to places of opportunity like jobs and education, particularly for underserved populations, and a broad range of other positive community outcomes like improved economic activity, public health outcomes, and environmental conditions in Big Jump focus areas. In most communities, you can point to an excellent piece of bike infrastructure, a single trail or protected bike lane corridor that sees high use is an example of great design. However, we know that these projects often only have localized impacts and don't always get people to the places they want to go. If we're to reap the multiple benefits of getting more people on bikes, we need to turn our attention away from singular projects and expand our planning and construction towards building complete networks of comfortable places to ride. Throughout planning literature and practice, these networks are described by a variety of terms, including low stress, high comfort, all ages and abilities. Based on successful systems internationally and in this country, we see three major components to these networks. Protected bike lanes on busy streets. Local streets with low volumes of cars moving at slow speeds where bikes and cars can mix comfortably, sometimes called bicycle boulevards or neighborhood greenways. And separated pathways such as greenways and trails. Past efforts like the Green Lane Project focused efforts on a city-wide basis, working in diverse communities across multiple transects of density, development, and roadway networks. The Big Jump will refocus those efforts to a more narrowly defined geographic space. The size, demographics, and shape of the focus area will vary city by city and may consist of a neighborhood, business corridor, school zone, downtown, residential suburb, or other proposed boundary. In some smaller communities, this focus area may be equal to the boundaries of the entire town. It may be best to think of the Big Jump project as a technical assistance program, but with more hands-on management and engagement. The Big Jump project works to build on existing community momentum to improve bicycling and is not an off-the-shelf solution for communities. Working together with selected Big Jump places, the People for Bikes team will develop a customized support package based on the local needs within the context of the program. The Big Jump project does not provide funding for infrastructure projects. When submitting applications, communities are asked to provide details about projects that are being considered or are already moving through the development process. The Big Jump will work with communities to leverage those projects and build a basis of support around them, but it is not set up to fund their planning or installation. Some communities or focus areas may have a great bike network in place, but need help generating use, while other communities may be just starting the public dialogue about completing a network. We're looking for a diverse range of starting points and perspectives on this. While the support mechanisms themselves will vary community to community, the types of activities provided during the course of the Big Jump may be similar in format and scale. These include, but are not limited to, a robust leadership support program, including study tours, training, and peer exchanges with national and international experts. Lead transportation staff, project designers, elected officials, community and business leaders from the 10 communities will have access to a robust online forum for collaboration on a wide range of topics related to implementing bike networks and encouraging people to ride. Small grants will help bring outside experts and workshops to your city to provide technical, design, and strategic support for the Big Jump project. The program will publish reports and provide information to help local leaders make the case for better biking in your community. Training, best practices, and research on communication outreach and communications, including robust and authentic community engagement, framing and messaging complete bike networks, and leading on issues of equity during the planning and implementation phase of projects. Assistance in building community support through small grants to help local groups conduct outreach and events. And national media exposure, original reporting, and storytelling will combine anecdotes and data to help build a public narrative about biking's benefits, establishing Big Jump communities as national leaders. Participation in the Big Jump will also include a new measurement toolkit being developed to better understand the impacts bicycling can have on our communities. We've been working with top academics and local and national agency staff to build on current best practices in order to develop consistent measures that will track increases in bicycling participation, reductions in the rate of serious crashes, increases in network connectivity, perceptions and attitudes regarding biking, and other positive community outcomes. The project will combine existing data from cities with new measurement tools to compare progress across the 10 cities. Our measurements will be open sourced so that they can be used by others as part of our effort to create more consistent and reliable bike measurements nationwide. Applicants have been asked to demonstrate a broad base of support by identifying a diverse team representing their intended focus area. Ideally, this team will consist of elected officials, the head of the city's transportation department, supportive community organizations, neighborhood residents or leaders, neighborhood or bicycle advocacy groups, business or business organizations, and a local foundation or funder. These will typically be the same contacts who submit letters of support and will be involved in the ongoing efforts towards achieving the Big Jump project goals and objectives. It is important that the leadership team be representative of the focus area and that the leadership positions of these individuals and organizations are established and respected within the community. We seek to foster a collaboration with the greatest chance of success, and we believe local community support and leadership are key to understanding how bicycling fits into the overall context of the neighborhood. While People for Bikes is a bicycling organization, we are well aware that bicycling fares best when it is seen as a tool to achieve broader community goals and when it's a part of the larger effort rather than standing alone. We're interested in synergies between bicycling and broader community priorities, and we're looking for places with momentum and energy, where better biking may be only one piece of a larger effort to improve a community. Communities are not required to provide any matching funds to be eligible to participate in the Big Jump project. People for Bikes and our national partners are lining up the necessary funding to provide the full, comprehensive technical support package to the 10 selected communities during the 3-year time period, including all of the benefits previously mentioned in this presentation. However, through our experience with the Green Lane project, we found that communities with local funding partners made more progress than communities without those partners. For the Big Jump project, we wanted to be more direct in our engagement with local funders and provide a clear picture of what financial involvement in this partnership might look like and how those partnerships might function. Applicants are highly encouraged to include a local funding partner as part of their leadership team and include a letter of commitment from them with their application package. In addition to the benefit of providing the project with additional resources to meet its goals and objectives, we view local funding as a strong indicator of community and business support for bicycling in potential Big Jump communities. The Big Jump is interested in local funding participation in 4 key areas of the Big Jump project program activities: data collection, analysis, and ongoing development of the measurement toolkit; leadership development programs, including travel support for local leaders to attend domestic and international study tours and gatherings; funding for local organizations to arrange outreach and engagement efforts in Big Jump focus areas; and support to bring in outside experts as needed, including workshops, technical advice, and communications assistance. Each of these activities will have a tangible local benefit to the 10 selected Big Jump communities, including clear reporting on the results and outcomes. There may also be additional opportunities for financial participation in other program areas of interest to local funding partners. People for Bikes is open to understanding other ways in which the Big Jump project can be leveraged to achieve greater community results. The level of financial involvement may vary community by community, but we have developed this table to help identify what funding participation may look like for the duration of the 3-year program. Ideally, we're asking local funders to participate at $50,000 per year over 3 years, a total investment of $150,000. We recognize that some of these programmatic themes may not meet your own funding guidelines or work directly in unison with other internal restrictions you have in place. As such, we offer this as a menu of funding options, with the opportunity for you to select where it is appropriate and desirable for your participation to occur. Local funding partners are welcome to contribute at higher levels than the suggested annual local match. We would encourage local funders to reach out to us directly about the appropriate levels of participation and any unique ongoing efforts that might be leveraged during the Big Jump. While the direct technical assistance work for the Big Jump project communities will end after 3 years, follow-up analysis and generation of results from the measurement toolkit will continue into the 4th year. This analysis will conclude with a number of written reports and online tools that will allow other communities to learn from and implement Big Jump strategies in their own neighborhoods. People for Bikes can also offer flexibility in how funding is dispersed to various activities and organizations to ensure that your local funding guidelines are met and that funds provide direct benefits to the areas you serve and invest in. Based on how local funders have cooperated in past People for Bikes programs, we are open to a number of ways in which funding is contributing to the success of the Big Jump. As a registered 501c3, People for Bikes can accept funds and manage those funds on behalf of local funders for use within Big Jump activities in the specified community. Funding will be used to support direct costs associated with technical assistance in the Big Jump focus area or distributed to local nonprofit partners for complementary activities that support program goals and objectives. If a more direct and local funding path is desired, certain tasks can be funded through local partner nonprofits. These organizations would serve as the local stewards of the funds, but with expected use to comply within the Big Jump program goals and activities. Some funders in the past have also preferred to be directly invoiced for services, either by People for Bikes or by individual vendors. This method can be used for simple financial transactions. As you can see, the application process opened at the end of June, and after today, we will have held both webinars for potential applicants and funders. On Thursday, August the 18th, we are asking communities interested in submitting an application to complete an online notice of interest indicating their intent to apply. This notice is not a prerequisite to participate in the program, but it does give us a sense of the types of communities that are planning to apply and allow us to properly plan for the review process. The link to submit the notice of intent can be found on the Big Jump Project website. The People for Bike staff will be attending the Pro Walk, Pro Bike, Pro Place conference taking place in Vancouver, BC, September 12th through 15th. We'll be hosting a lunch and learn session during the conference for any applicants or members of the leadership team to meet with us in person and discuss any aspect of their planned submission. If you're attending the conference, please feel free to stop by, say hello, and discuss your questions with us. Complete applications are due Friday, October the 28th. The full application can be downloaded for offline reference, but must be submitted using the online submission process at the Big Jump Project website. Applicants are being asked to submit letters of support from members of their leadership team as part of their application. As part of this leadership team, local funding partners should submit letters including their interest to participate financially in the program and at what level and duration they intend to do so. This level of community support will strengthen the local applications. Finally, finalists will be notified in early January 2017. Questions, comments, or inquiries about the Big Jump project or its application can be made directly to me, Kyle Wagenshoes, using the details shown on your screen. Today's webinar has been recorded and will be available along with all of the project applications and past webinar recordings at the Big Jump Project website. Now, we'll switch to addressing and answering your questions that you might have. If you wish to ask a question or please make a comment, please press the raise your hand button on the control panel now, and we'll unmute you. First question asks, when are the local funders' letters of support due? Those letters of support are due with the final application on October the 28th. The funders don't need to do anything in terms of the notice of intent to apply. It's only on that final application will we need to see a letter of support accompanying the package sent with the city. Second question, does the local funding suggestion have to come from one source, or can it come from multiple sources? This question deals with whether or not a single funder needs to provide the funding for the suggested amount of $50,000 annually, or whether multiple sources. And our answer is that multiple sources is perfectly fine. In fact, it may help to demonstrate a broader range of support supporting your application. We know that in the past, sometimes the city will provide some of the funding, particularly for travel support for their staff, while a local funder might provide the funding necessary for some of the outreach and communications activities. Third question. Much of the types of activities to be funded by local funders are currently done by staff at the city. Could the city fund these activities through normal payroll processes? The answer is both yes and no. There are likely some activities that are occurring within your communities that could be used to help supplement the suggested contribution of $50,000 per year. However, we feel that many of the programming elements within the Big Jump project are fairly unique and aren't being done widely in most cities across the U.S. Thus, the reason to have the Big Jump. And so, in that case, the local match would need to come in the form of hard cash being able to be used for these kinds of expenses. Question number 4. When we apply for the grant, do we enter an amount of funds, or is the grant application used to see if your city can participate in the Big Jump? The application itself does not have a space for you to indicate how much a local funder will be contributing to the program. That would need to be included in the letter of support that your local funder submits as a part of the grant application. Question number 5. Does People for Bikes provide all the funding except for the suggested local match? The answer to this question is that People for Bikes will be providing all of the funding, to a total of $250,000 per year per community, even if the local funding match doesn't occur. We're using the suggestion as a way to identify ways in which local funders can participate, but it is not a requirement to do so. We will be executing a full program with or without local funding partners. Are all of the required focus outcomes of the Big Jump occurring in each city, or should the leadership team focus on one? All of these objectives and goals that we've laid out for the Big Jump will be occurring simultaneously. Our main theme is that this proof of concept is that if you build a network for great bicycling where people feel comfortable doing so and connect it to places that they actually want to travel to, that these other outcomes will occur. Things like generating more use, greater safety, other kinds of greater positive community outcomes. So all of those will be measured simultaneously. It's not necessary for the leadership team to focus on one. Question number 7, the application itself doesn't seem to have a breakdown for local funding sources. Should we prepare something like that to attach to the application? The answer is yes, that should be included as a part of the letter of support from your local funding partner, indicating the amount and the duration to which they would feel they can commit to the program. We're not asking for a hard commitment at this point, only a letter of support indicating those amounts. Once we make our final selections for which 10 cities will be participating in the Big Jump, we'll be reaching out to the funders more directly to get more detailed information about the requirements for accessing those funds. Question number 8 is, should all the local funding from entities other than the city applicant go to People for Bikes directly to be dispersed to nonprofits and other vendors? And the answer is not necessarily. Sometimes it's okay for the money to go directly to the nonprofits without having to go to People for Bikes. It's all up to the current situation and context of where you're working, and also to the guidelines of the local funding partners. We wanted to demonstrate that People for Bikes is fairly flexible in how those funds get spent, whether they come to People for Bikes or go directly to other vendors or nonprofits. We're open to that, assuming that those expenses are being used for Big Jump project activities as directed by the program. Question 9, can you apply for the Big Jump project in 2017? The answer is no. The Big Jump project is a 3-year commitment between 10 communities and People for Bikes. We are accepting applications now through October the 28th, 2016. We will not have an open selection process in 2017. Question number 10, can you tell us who's been awarded this grant in the past? Actually, if you visit greenlaneproject.org, you'll be able to find a list of the 12 communities that were a part of the previous program that I mentioned. The Big Jump is an evolution of the Green Lane Project. This is the first time the Big Jump project in its current form as described in this presentation is being offered. So we don't have any previous Big Jump communities. We do have 12 communities, though, that have worked with us in a similar type program to help expedite the development and use of protected bike lanes throughout the United States. Some of these communities include San Francisco, Memphis, Tennessee, Portland, Oregon, Austin, Texas, Indianapolis, Indiana, and Washington, D.C., among others. Question 11, I live in a very small city. What are the chances of us getting the grant? One of the benefits of the Big Jump project over the Green Lane project is that we've narrowed the geographic scope of each program pretty dramatically. We're looking in big cities. We're not going to be looking at the citywide basis. We're only going to be looking at sort of a neighborhood. And that really opens up and levels the playing field for small communities. I mentioned previously that in some small towns, the entire town may be the boundaries of the focus area, and that's perfectly acceptable. We've left the size of the focus areas up to the local communities. We are open to working in a variety of communities so long as you can make the case that there's momentum there, that the area has a lot of potential to increase bicycling, and that those kinds of key attractions, connecting to transit, connecting to jobs and education centers, connecting to parks and recreation, if those kinds of connections are present within your community or within your focus area, in that instance, we're actually looking to include small towns as a part of one or more of our selected communities. Question 12, do you see a need for partnering with local university or other research entities? And the answer is absolutely, particularly if those research entities or universities are working to conduct research around bicycling already and bicycling use. We have assembled a pretty great team of academics from throughout the country, experts working on a lot of this, but we're always welcome to add new expertise to our partnership. A special note is that a university district or university area might be the appropriate place for the Big Jump project focus area to be located in your community. In that case, the university might play a larger role than just being a support mechanism. They might also be an interested stakeholder in that process. The next question is, would you help a community design a rail trail? And the answer is no. The Big Jump project is not set up currently to fund design or construction of infrastructure projects. We do have a number of staff members as well as technical experts that we can reach out to in the event that you need help with some particular design element, or you need assistance in helping to lead a community workshop and try to figure out what the best solution is given around a design issue. But we won't actually be providing any financial support for the design of infrastructure. A rail trail, though, is a great example of the kinds of infrastructure that we're looking to work around in our Big Jump communities. These are the kinds of places that people of all ages and abilities feel comfortable riding a bicycle, and a rail trail is maybe the most comfortable place, the most comfortable type of infrastructure that can be developed as a part of this program. Next question is, will we learn where and how to find the funds for building these kinds of infrastructure? It's not a direct goal of this program to provide funding assistance, but our staff is made up of former city officials and city staffers who have a broad range of knowledge and expertise in understanding where federal, state, and local funding exists to fund these kinds of projects. In addition to that, we also have friends and colleagues who work at both the national and state level throughout the country, where we can also put you in contact. So we have contacts for beginning to sort of see some of that, but this program itself isn't designed to help you seek funding. Here's the final question: can you give us a brief description of what the workshops will look like? And so my answer in this one is a bit of it depends. One of the things that we're going to be doing is working in communities in the context and in the situation that each community is in, and that might be a little bit different. I mentioned before that we do have a large network of technical experts. So if we needed to bring some of them into your community, lead design workshops, if we needed them to help review plans or help you review problem spots with your city engineers and planners, we have the ability to host those kinds of workshops where we can get down into the nitty gritty of design, thinking about how this intersection or how this striping or how this color will influence people riding bikes there. In some communities, maybe they have infrastructure figured out, but there might be a need for better understanding how we better do a greater job of reaching out to people in our community. We might have diverse communities that have different kinds of communication needs, and we'll be able to bring in experts that will be able to provide some guidance and review of your current policies, as well as provide workshops on conducting better communications and outreach as a part of your city staff. There might also be an opportunity in communities to think about, how provide guidance and workshops on the best kinds of events to hold. Whether or not this is for an advocacy group, a retail bicycle shop, or a business association. How do you encourage people to actually ride their bikes to those kinds of places and those kinds of events? And so we have another team of experts here on our staff, as well as throughout the country, of people that do a great job of coordinating events, motivating people, and leading kinds of activities and programs to get more people on bikes. And so the short answer is we have a sort of a wide variety of resources and experts at our fingertips. We'll be able to better understand and better decide what those workshops might look like in your community after a selection has been made and we've gone through the details of what's needed most in your community. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. This is the end of our webinar. Again, notices of intent to apply are due on August the 18th. This is not a prerequisite, but it is a courtesy to us so we can properly plan to review all of the applications. Final applications are due on October the 28th. We're asking that local funding partners in the October 28th application submission include a letter of support that indicates both the level that you are comfortable providing funding for the Big Jump project in your community and the duration for your contribution. If you have any additional questions, my contact information is shown on the screen. My telephone number and email address are there. This webinar has been recorded. We'll be publishing all of the documents as well as the recording from this presentation on our website by tomorrow afternoon. With that, I thank you for joining us. Have a great day.